Oh yeah, ay. When you need a hand and you don't know why, just know that I'll be there. When the road is long and you feel so tired, just know that I'll be
All right. Hey there, YouTube. So, John Reagan here, CEO, founder of E-Powersport.com. And if you were around Vegas yesterday, you probably saw me out cruising around most of the day on the Lil Burro, on and off. Love surfing on this thing, standing on it. It just amazing, just awesome. But we'll get into the Lil Burro here in a little bit. What I want to talk about right now is our Watt Wagons Hydra. Thing is a monster. I gotta say, it has more power to weight than even a Yugo. I mean, for those of you that don't know, Yugos were cars from Yugoslavia. They were boxy, and it was kind of a joke because they were very low powered and cheap. Nowadays, we'd love them, but back then it was a thing. Look it up. You find it's Wikipedia. It's a thing too. You'll find it. Anyway, so for example, Yugo comes in at about 2,000 pounds with about 77 foot-pounds of torque. Our Watt Wagons Hydra, even with my heavy ass on it at 210, and its weight comes in at about 300 pounds and 125 foot-pounds of torque. All right, so think about that for a minute. What that means when you're riding that bike. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty incredible. We have it for sale, $7,200. We're doing free shipping on it anywhere in the lower 48. Just a phenomenal bike. There's also a 10 amp charger available to go with it. So for the 17.5 amp hour battery pack that's in it, you can drop that charge time from 6-7 hours with the 2+ amp charger down to less than 2 hours with the upgraded charger. So keep that in mind. Lots of options, lots of opportunity. Amazing bike. Just an incredible ride. Yesterday, as I mentioned, I went out on a ride, and surprisingly, I did not get run over, or, I mean, a few people came really close to the side. I think something that we need to kind of work on more here in Vegas is letting people know that, you know, the bikes get that lane. Scooters get the right lane. If you need to go around them, you're supposed to get fully in the next lane over, past them, and then merge over. You're not supposed to squeeze by us so close that your mirror can almost clip my shoulder. All right, that's not good. As a matter of fact, it's gotten me to the point where I'm starting to wonder if I need to carry a stick so that when people do that, I just reach out, and if it hits your car, you're too close. Because seriously, you should not even be in that same lane as me. If there's a bike lane, I get over in the bike lane, and it's the same for all of us riders. We get in the bike lane. If there isn't a bike lane and there's more than one lane available, you're supposed to give us that right lane to ride in to be safe. So those of you coming from California, Texas, Arizona, brush up on those laws, because I'd really hate for you to hit somebody and go to jail. Okay, so as you can probably see from my face, sunburned pretty heavily. The Lil Burro is just a beast when it comes to going out and riding for a day. This is not a fast bike, but just like a Lil Burro, you know, it's not gonna win any races, but it'll get you to the finish line in a day or two. You know, so, this Lil Burro goes about 22 miles an hour on a flat. It comes with a 500 watt motor, and it has the upgraded 29 amp hour battery pack. Now, sitting on the 20x4-inch wheels, the nice cushioning the cushioning that they have is really nice. This is our prototype model, and you can't see it from that side, but the chain is angled off here, and there's some things we talked to them about with these lower power motored units that are going to include now always include a 7-speed gear cassette. And if it is a single speed, it will be spaced out accordingly and have a chain tensioner, so that, because what happens is with the design of the Lil Burro, the crank isn't in the arm. So the crank itself doesn't swing with the arm when it moves. It stays with the body. So that creates slack in the chain. That slack needs to be taken up. So you have a chain tensioner, a single gear chain tensioner, or you put a set of a gear cassette and derailleur and stuff on that, so you use that. So really nice ride. These are coming in $2,750 for the 500 watt, and it goes up to $750 and 1,000 watt. The reason that's important for these versus some of the other ones is that keeps them within the legal range of an e-bike. And so though you may not be able to, win any races with it, you can use it as a regular transportation device all around town, all day long. I mean, I've literally squeezed 60 plus miles out of this thing, just tooling around, no problem. Running it at full speed that it can go, and just a great fun ride. I mean, I've been really, really surprised how much the low power, this 500 watt motorcycle-esque e-bike has really been a pleasure to ride. With the gearing that we're going to have on it, with the cassette coming with it, it'll also make it a much better pedal-assisted bike. This one, as I said, I treat more like a moped because the chain does pop off because it doesn't have the things it needs there, which I'll be adding that later. And so it not really a pedal assist as much as just have your feet on it, use the motor. I imagine if I actually used a pedal assist on this thing, easily 120, 140 miles distance out of a 29 amp hour battery pack. I mean, you got to think, if I'm using the throttle for 60 plus miles the whole time, no pedal assist used, adding that extra bit of force and power to it is really gonna extend that battery life out. So I would say at the very least you get it'll go to 100 miles, maybe 110. So you probably get another 40 to 50 miles out of it if you run it a reasonable pedal assist and just work with the motor instead of have the motor doing all the work. So yeah, that's our Lil Burro. These also come in higher powered versions with bigger battery packs and huge controllers that'll hang off the motorcycle style seat and stuff. But I actually think these are great. Surprisingly great little bikes for keeping it within the legal limit. And they come with hydraulic brakes, light systems on them here. They have tail lights. Our newer ones are coming with turn signals and alarms built in. So have a key ignition, it'll have a built-in alarm that locks the motor, things like that. Which I don't know if we'll be able to do on the lower powered ones because of the size of some of those things, but we'll see if we can work that in there. At least the light package we can definitely get in there. The alarms are a little tougher, but we'll see. We can probably get that in there too. Yeah, I mean, it's just been a great little bike. I've been really, really impressed with it, and I recommend it. Definitely recommend it quite a bit. Which brings me to kind of my next point about these bikes. Like, you probably kept hearing me say legal, legal, legal. And the reason I'm saying that is because these bikes specifically, unlike some of the other e-bikes that are around us here, really blur the line when it comes to what's an e-bike and what's an electric motorcycle. Now, a lot of you may have heard we're bringing in electric motorcycles. We have orders in already. We're from customers. We're already getting things scheduled for that. But this bike can be ordered in such a way that it basically, in some ways, falls under the NHTSA requirements. And that being that anything over 750 watt power output on its own, going faster than 20 miles per hour with a 170 pound rider on a flat, and a couple other components there that potentially make it fall under motorcycle guidelines. I think that's reasonable. I think that when it comes to a degree, okay? Been riding these for a long time, and some of them, especially this one with the amount of weight that it has, 1,000 to 1,500 watt motor on the back really isn't going to add a whole lot more in. It's going to add more in acceleration more than it's going to add in overall speed and power of the bike, right? You'll just get up to speed quicker. You may get 3 to 5 more miles per hour out of it, but from my experience with these, it's not going to be like a rocket ship, like they're thinking, like something that would require DOT heavy types of certified parts, right? Because that's really what we're talking about here when we say NHTSA and DOT certified or approved, is that the parts and components that it's built with have been tested and inspected and are approved by the DOT for use on a vehicle that can exceed certain speeds and powers. So when we move to things like, when we move this bike out of the realm of e-bike power, right? Which to me, e-bike power really is more the 1,000 to 1,500 watt. Once you get beyond 1,500 watt, you really are getting into the motorcycle ranges, powers, and speeds. And that's where, you know, things like the Enduro that I have working on here, and its 8 kilowatt motor, again, as I said, blur that line. So we always recommend that you ride with a helmet, that you wear armor. We recommend that for all of our e-enduros that are 3 kilowatt and above, that you use motorcycle tires, that we use motorcycle grade off-road forks. They are not, as far as I know, DOT approved. So, I mean, there is that, but they are designed to be made beefier and stronger and handle a lot of abuse off-road. Additionally, we may not use motorcycle brakes, but I mean, if you've ever compared the size of a DOT brake caliper to the size of one of these, you'd understand why. Now, when it comes to stopping power, I get it, right? Makes a lot of sense to me. Have I seen an issue with my, and these are just dual piston, they're not quad piston, brakes with the 203 rotors? Not at all. I've actually been able to not just slow down, but lock the wheels up at 60 miles an hour and create some really nice slide patterns. So it's really more of, I think, how you ride it, right? I think when we look at the laws and legalities and keeping people safe, if it's an e-bike, it probably should have some form of pedal assist, right, that allows you to get to, say, 25 or 28 miles per hour. You should be required to wear a helmet because, hey, let's keep your noggin safe. And yeah, anything beyond that, you should start looking at like motor scooter licensing and things like that. Getting into the e-motorcycle realm, I think, requires you to get into the multi-kilowatt. So 3, 4, 5, 10, 50 kilowatt, whatever. That's really a motorcycle. I mean, yes, you need big, heavy equipment to slow and stop you. The amount of power you're getting put out is tremendous, even for the amount of weight. So yeah, you need those things. But when it comes to our more powerful e-enduros, as I like to call them, they are off-road, and they are designed to be off-road, meaning that they use motorcycle parts, but I wouldn't say the parts are DOT approved for these, right? Our e-motorcycles, yes, those are coming in DOT approved, which means every part on there that's required to do so will have the little DOT approval. You can go see it on parts of your car and stuff. And those things are legit. And so we'll have those coming in, like I've said before, middle to end of August, just depending on build and shipping times. And then once we get them in, we'll verify them, get them shipped out to everybody, and look for those good reviews. So the last thing I did want to cover, and I'm really running over today, there's a few extra points, is looking at things like this and e-bikes and the future of transportation, especially for our children. It seems that there are fewer licenses being issued. There's more backlogs in licenses. There's more backlogs in registration and bureaucracy and things of that nature. But people still need to get around, right? Your kid still needs to go get a job and be able to go to that job in an efficient manner and begin to earn money. And there's a lot of openings available, but people can't afford gas to get there. These are what fill that hole, right? These are what fill that gap. They're not incredibly expensive. You can get them on payment plans, and you can go between most of our stuff anywhere from 30 to 60 miles plus in a single charge. So that brings me to my next thing. So we're going to begin to look at these bikes and motorcycles, not just in the sense of how much fun they can be, but how they allow you to commute to and from where you need to go. And we're going to begin a rating system that scores them accordingly so that in buying one, you know how far you can get. And you know that when you buy one for your kid, that's going to be able to get them to school, to their practices they need to get to, and to, you know, friends' houses and then back home in a day. All right. And when they'll need to charge, things like that. So it'll be a better way of understanding the overall capabilities of your bike, and how it's going to get you around. Because my brother just sent me something saying Seattle was going to be at $10 a gallon for gas, probably sooner than next February. And I've been saying it's going to be $10 a gallon gas nationwide in the next couple of years anyway. So I think that the sooner people start getting on board with these, the sooner that's going to be not a pain for you as a consumer. So yeah, kids need to get transported around. So make sure that you look at e-bikes as a possible option for them. Some people might say, oh, but it's windy, it's rainy here, this and that. You know what my dad used to tell me? I used to ride my bike everywhere because my dad used to say to me the same things that the Norwegians and Swedes say to their kids, which is, you're not made of sugar. So go do what you need to do. All right? We're made to withstand the weather. Go be weatherized. So beyond that, just to recap, we got the Watt Wagons, incredibly powerful for its size, more power than most subcompact cars come with. My ride yesterday, really, kids were fun. Everybody was loving seeing, you know, the bikes and just being out on it, and I had a great time doing errands, for crying out loud. Didn't take my car once. Yep, no, didn't. The Lil Burro, great method of transportation, solid bike, aluminum frame, full suspension, upgradable if you want to upgrade the parts on it, and you can upgrade the motors, big battery case, things like that. It's just a great all-around bike. And then the legalities of things. You know, we really need to make sure as the e-bike industry that we're ready as the governments begin reviewing how the businesses are operating, and that we apply those things accordingly. That we let people know these are high-powered bikes. They're not something to be taken lightly. It's the same as buying a motorcycle or a scooter with a gas motor on it. You know, it has power to it. You can get hurt. And people should, you know, respect the device just as much as you would anything else that you can get hurt on. So that's it. You know, that's my Sunday chat. No rants or anything like that. Probably gonna do a little tip here later in the week, so keep an eye out for that. There's some stuff I found out is kind of crazy about things, but yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Know that I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there.